Are there any absolute truths at all? The only one that I can think of is that you and I, all of us, will die at some point. Is this the only absolute truth? Consider just for a moment, even this seemingly absolute truth may one day not be true. If science fiction imaginings of transferring human consciousness into machines comes to pass, then perhaps some might live forever. Could this be true? If truth is not absolute, then what is it? Truth might be more like a scale. Here is a scale defining the idea, a new concept of truth. I call it the truth scale and offer it here for your consideration. At one end of this scale, truth is insubstantial or foggy, and at the other end of the scale, truth is substantial and perhaps even predictive, but never absolute. Notice that at the left side of the truth scale, claimed truths are improbable, foggy, or insubstantial. At the right side of the truth scale, claimed truths are highly probable, substantial, and predictive. This is a more specific and useful definition of truth. Why? Because our newly defined truth scale includes the notion of probability. What is the likelihood that a truth is true? Or what is the probability of a truth being true? Probability is the measure of the likelihood that an event will occur. At the foggy end of our truth scale, the probability of a claimed truth of, in fact, ever being true is very, very unlikely. At the probable end of our truth scale, the probability of a claimed truth of being true is highly probable. In our new definition of truth, absolute truths are a clear sign that there is an error in our thinking. However, keep in mind that when a claimed truth is placed at the foggy end of our truth scale, it is not completely untrue. Rather, it is highly improbable of being true. This dimension of our definition of truth is just as important as the idea that there are no absolute truths. Absolutely false ideas are just as useless as absolutely true ones. This truth scale-based system of categorizing truths ensures that absolutizing does not become part of our concept of establishing truths, because we can never say something is absolutely true, nor can we say something is absolutely false. This scheme of defining truth gives us the ability to place claimed truths on our scale of truth and assign a probability or likelihood a truth is true. The idea of measuring truth via probabilities is not unprecedented. Probability is the concept behind one of the most powerful and impactful truths of the 20th century, quantum theory. Quantum theory is a branch of theoretical physics that strives to understand and predict the properties and behaviors of atoms and subatomic particles. Without it, and the probability mathematics that drives it, we would not be able to build transistors, integrated circuits, or computers. Edward Schrödinger, Nobel Prize-winning Austrian physicist, came up with a famous thought experiment that extends the probability behind quantum theory from the very small scale, where it was first observed, to our normal human scale. This thought experiment gives us an insight into this bizarre idea. Here is a summary of his thinking. A cat is trapped in a box with a vial of poison that is released when a radioactive atom randomly decays. You cannot tell if the cat is alive or dead without opening the box. Schrödinger argued that until you open the box and look inside, the cat is neither alive nor dead, but in an intermediate state. This is because of the probability involved in the radioactive decay of the atom driving the experiment. The death or life of the cat is determined by randomness. Hang on, how can a cat be both dead and alive at the same time? Surely this cannot be true. And yet, this is precisely the principles behind your cell phone, car, computer, and just about everything we are reliant on in the 21st century. But if all truths are based on a probability of being true and not on absolutes, how do we place a truth on our truth scale? As it turns out, humanity has developed over many thousands of years a very reliable way of establishing and identifying and understanding truths. It is known as the scientific method, and it's our best technique to distill truth. Why? Because its first position is that any fact or truth is subject to change and modification based on new evidence. This ensures truths are able to grow, change, or be thrown out over time. All other systems of establishing truth are based on absolutes or binaries. They are static, inflexible, dogmatic. Religions, for example, use absolute premises to establish truth. All religions espouse a position such as there is a God or gods, and all religions will not allow the non-existence of their God or gods no matter how much evidence is presented to the contrary. These claimed truths are therefore static or absolute, but life is not static. From the day we are born, we are changing. We grow in stature and sometimes wisdom. So why would truth be a static thing? If chains of evidence are so important to continually define, distill, and discover our truths, how can we ascertain reliable chains of evidence?